Hey, how's it going, everybody? John Velociraptor Guerrero here for EventHubs, and today I want to get into something that I think is, well, the community knows it's important, but I don't know if we're really aware of just how important it is, and that is the way Capcom is attending to Ken in Street Fighter 6. Now, Ken is one of the most important characters. He's a legacy Street Fighter character that goes back to the very beginning, even to Street Fighter 1. That's farther than even like Chun-Li goes, and has, as a result, a massive fan base, and it's really important in terms of how Capcom handles these really foundational characters to the franchise. And I gotta say, they dropped the ball hard in Street Fighter V. So I guess we can start right there. What went wrong in Street Fighter V with this character, who has so much riding on him, and when you miss with a character like this, you miss a lot, potentially. It's one thing to mishandle a character like, say, DJ, who, hey, I know DJ has a lot of fans, but he's also not the most popular. He doesn't have as much riding on him when it comes to keeping the spirit of Street Fighter going and keeping the fans happy. It's a very different story when you're talking about a character like Ken, like Ryu, like Akuma, like Guile, like Chun-Li, like Cammy. Sorry, DJ. I hope that they bring DJ to a place where it matters more, and many other characters like him. But Ken Masters is one you do not want to miss with. And in Street Fighter V, I think they missed with him. And the big elephant in the room, the most prominent thing that people would talk about with Ken in SF5 was his visual design. There's a lot of characters that had issues, even on the character select and pre-battle screen, where basically the whole point is to present these characters visually to you, where they just looked a little shoddy. And Ken in particular, he had banana hair. His hair looked like bananas. It wasn't in an endearing, like, oh, this is a joke that we all sort of can laugh at together, Ken or Capcom included. It was, this looks like Capcom wasn't taking things seriously, whether they were rushing through the artistic process or they thought that this was fine and the community disagreed. I don't know, but that was such a distraction, and it made things feel like, well, if Capcom isn't going to care about making this character with some dignity, then why should we care? And I think that spilled out into the way people felt about Ken in general. And that was just something that was for the entirety of Street Fighter V. You know, Sakura got her face fixed a little bit because hers was looking a little bit wonky when it came out, but Ken never did. In fact, one of his alternate costumes, his hair, boy band Ken, he looks like sort of like Lance Bass, people compared him to. His hair looks like gelato, another food. And so the jokes just would keep on coming, and not in a good way. Not in a way that would cause this game to have any positive momentum. It was just something distracting from the rest of the game and to pile on to a lot of other issues that people had about it. So not only is the visual not a great thing for Ken, but also if you go back through, do you remember what happened with him? For those of you that played through it in A Shadow Falls, the cinematic story, he did not play a very prominent role. Now, he was there, yes, and he did a few things. He got in a few fights, but almost none of what Ken did was specific to Ken. Like, it could have been another character very easily. And he didn't go through much of a change. He didn't face much of a challenge throughout. He wasn't a different character between the beginning of A Shadow Falls and the end of A Shadow Falls. He was sort of just an obligation to have in the story, and it really showed. And so that all added up to not a great look for, again, one of the most foundationally important characters. Well, we have been seeing with the end of Street Fighter V, as well as almost everything we've seen from Street Fighter 6 so far, Capcom is really putting their ear to the ground, listening to the complaints that people have had, and are going out of their way to rectify them. Whether that means making the game more accessible, whether that means communicating with fans, or whether that means doing a better job with important characters like Ken Masters. Now, we don't know a ton about Ken yet in Street Fighter 6, but we have seen some snippets of what he's going to look like, and now, more recently, we've got some information on what his story is going to be, and already I am sitting, and I think I speak for a lot of people, sitting on the edge of our seats, waiting to see what's going to happen next. How is this thread going to weave in with the rest of the story that is mattering more and more to us now, because Capcom looks like they are taking this game incredibly seriously. But I want to go through some of the things that they're doing with what they've revealed about Ken thus far. First and foremost, he has been this kind of like rich playboy-esque sort of character. He's always been fairly responsible with his money and with his family, his wife and his child, up until this point. But it's been the same kind of notes the whole time for the most part. He's got a bunch of money, he likes to go fighting, he's pretty comfortable, and he's going to help out Team Good Guys with his resources and with his abilities. Well, that goes out the window in Street Fighter 6. He is on the run. He's on the lam. Now, when Ken was first revealed, everyone noted, oh my gosh, first of all, no banana hair. That's good. But also, his hair is kind of grown out. He's got stubble. He's got this like overcoat, kind of homeless looking jacket going on. And he looks like he is down in the dumps. That's immediately interesting. And everybody and their mother was talking about it when it first was, we'll say, leaked out onto the internet. Now we're learning that, yes, Ken is separated, not romantically, but currently separated from his family, from his wife and his child, and is on the run because he has been blamed. Well, it looks like he has been blamed for a terrorist attack that he did not do. But immediately, this takes Ken out of the traditional situation where he's just got all of these resources and he's just matter-of-fact fighting on Team Good Guys. Now, there's a decent chance that he's against Team Good Guys, or that Team Good Guys will be attacking him because they misperceive who he is, and he's got to work through that, and he doesn't have his traditional support of his family or his money to do so. That's an interesting new approach to the character that we're going to see how that plays out. But another big thing, remember how I said he's not really prominent in Street Fighter V story. He's there, but he doesn't have to be, and nothing that he was doing was Ken specific. Well, if you remember at the end of Luke's story in Street Fighter V, the beginning of Luke's story in Street Fighter V, when he was a little kid, his father, Robert, saved him and a bunch of people from a mall bombing by a terrorist. We don't know who the terrorists were, and we know that Luke lost his father and a handful of people died, but fewer than would have if Robert, Luke's father, hadn't done what he did. But now Luke has a natural gripe with whomever this terrorist might be, or this group of terrorists might be. Well, it looks as though Ken is the one that is blamed for that. Now, if Luke is indeed Street Fighter 6's protagonist, immediately you have a relationship and a potential bubbling over or boiling over when these two characters meet. And that's super enticing. That's super exciting. You can see just how much of a difference this feels now compared to what we were getting with Ken in Street Fighter V. Capcom is doing wonders. They are light years ahead of where they were in Street Fighter V, attending to these things, and that makes me as a fan and as a player so much more invested. And we only have the first beginning snippets of all of this. So I say all that to say, one, they are making Ken sexy in a bunch of different ways that is much needed. I think that they are going to continue to do this with everything that we've seen so far, with just about every aspect of the game, every other aspect of the game, the other character storylines and such. And that just makes me even more enthusiastic and excited to explore Street Fighter 6 when it comes out in 2023, which feels like 10 years from now. But I would like to hear from you guys, especially if you're Ken players and if you're Ken fans. What did you think about the character in Street Fighter V and how he was handled there versus how we're seeing him shape up now? Are you excited for him? Are you naturally more intrigued by what's going on? Do you not care at all? Hey, well, I'd love to hear it. Let's start a conversation so we can pass the time before whenever Street Fighter 6 comes out. But thank you guys so much for watching this. If you like this, please, the drill, comment, subscribe, tell your mom about it so she can subscribe too. And we will see you guys in the next video.